Yeah. We're back.
Back again. Number 2.
Episode 2. 2.
Start down on its own. All right.
Alrighty.
We're back again,
Boom.
guys. Hi, I'm Roger. This is Jay.
Yep.
Jay Pace, episode number 2 of the Roger and Pace podcast. That's right. The first week, last episode, we didn't have a name. So we were a bit ambiguous and a bit dopey about that.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. But now we put our heads together and we came up with this awesome name, Roger and Pace.
Yeah.
It really took
Very creative.
2 brains to come up with that one.
They say two heads are better than one.
Who's they? They do.
They do.
The mysterious
They.
what are we talking about
guys
today?
out there, guys and gals.
What are we going through today, my friend?
Today,
Game Changers up number 1.
Game Changers, the documentary.
Yep. Well, let's go
They
through
say
what
it's a
we're.
vegan doco.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
It is, right? Yeah. Well, it's kind of pushing veganism. Yeah.
Well, let's quickly go through what we plan to get through, and we'll see what happens. So, Game Changers, we'll go through that documentary and a bit of the rebuttals from Chris Kresser and some other guys
On the Joe Rogan show. Yeah. Experience.
The Peloton Bike Ad. So you check that out.
I did.
All right, we'll chat about that and the outrage. I guess there's a bit of outrage with that.
Ghostbusters.
Yeah, you watched that trailer, didn't you?
I did.
All right, let's not go into it now. We'll chat that. The Secret is going to be hopefully a big topic.
Recently watched that.
Recently
after
watched
all
that.
these years.
A little bit of Tim Dillion, a little bit of a rant that he went on that I found interesting. We both found interesting. And then we'll see if we have time. Scott Jack, this...
Neil Strauss too, right?
Neil Strauss. Tom Cruise, definitely want to talk about him being just
Tommy.
freaking awesome. I don't care what you say. And some podcasts you listen to, and then we'll go into a question from a listener.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, let's go. Game Changers.
Hang in there, guys. Hope you like it.
You checked that out recently, didn't you?
I did.
What'd you think?
Well, I at first I watched the documentary, obviously, Game Changers, and I have to admit, I was very inspired to get back to a
vegan
diet. I have experimented with many different kinds of diets. Throughout my 20s, I'd say I was predominantly pescatarian, vegetarian. I hardly touched meat and chicken until my late 20s, really.
What was the reason?
The reason I had an ulcer when I was
that's right.
18, 19. I had to quit running, became very sensitive to a lot of foods, especially dairy and meats. I would break out. That's how bad it was. I would break out the next day. I would break out with pimples.
Really?
Yeah, my body was super sensitive. So I just stayed away from it all for a long time.
That's interesting.
Then when I got into acting around 23, I met a girl who was into the whole gluten-free thing, and that was kind of new back then in the early 2000s. I'm giving my age away.
Don't worry, it's on IMDb.
Yeah. Damn it. You can't get that thing off. That was good. And I started experimenting with gluten-free at that time, and that really helped me. I used to get a lot of bloating and stuff, so that helped. But then, through my 30s, I started introducing meat and chicken and fish, and I was already eating fish, but meat and chicken again. And
okay.
I was okay with it, but still, I mean, even before I watched Game Changers, I wouldn't say that I was a big meat eater. I have been eating a lot more meat and chicken than I used to in my 20s, but I still feel a little gluggy
after eating.
Yeah, after eating heavy proteins.
I guess everybody's body is made differently.
Yeah.
You know, I feel the opposite. Like if I have just meat, like steak or whatever, I feel fantastic afterwards. But if I mix that with a carbohydrate or a pasta or something like that, that's when I start to feel gluggy and full and just not light and energetic, or dairy, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, okay.
So I watched that. It was very
Yeah.
inspiring. I think it was well made.
Really? I had the opposite opinion.
Yeah,
especially at the beginning, because it was, James Cameron produced it, and
I found that out later. Yeah.
Schwarzenegger was involved.
Yeah.
And, I don't know. Just my first impression of the production value was I was expecting, probably because I was expecting the highest production value, that you could. This guy that made Avatar, was a part of this. So
Yeah, he was too busy making Avatar.
well, he's making like 5 of them now, isn't he?
Right?
Yeah.
Has he given us a part yet, mate?
Not now.
Not now. We are
Not after
vegan.
this. Yes, I'm
rules.
vegan now.
Yeah, he's full on vegan. Obviously,
Is
if
it?
you don't
Yeah.
know.
No, he's got a. That was one of the issues was because he owns a vegan food company or supplement company, something along that line.
Yeah, he and his wife.
Yeah.
Both,
So it
both
was
really
like,
into that.
yeah, I
advocates
guess
for
you could
vegan.
say, because then people were saying, well, that's going to be, obviously it's going to be biased, but like, of course it's going to be biased. If you're into veganism, you know, and you want to make a film about veganism, there's nothing wrong with that. You're not going to make it about being a carnivore if you're a vegan.
Yeah, I mean, most people are going to create these documentaries with a focus. They're going to lean towards what they favor.
Yeah.
But I did enjoy it. I did feel like there were a lot of tests they did, especially the murky blood one that freaked me out. You know, when they ate meat and then the next day their blood was all murky and it was clouded. And the blood plasma, and then like when they ate the bean burrito, it wasn't. It was a lot clearer. So that freaked me out.
There was a big rebuttal on that as well.
Yeah,
from Chris
but
Kresser.
then listening to Chris Kresser on the Joe Rogan Experience, he went into how that was.
Yeah, it was basically pointless. Didn't really mean anything.
Yeah.
And there were other factors. I can't quite remember what he said, but there were other factors at play. Okay.
So what was your opinion after firstly watching did you watch the documentary first before listening to the Kresser?
I guess, I mean, I went in pretty biased as well. Like, I thought I didn't want to believe it because I enjoy meat and I've always felt like it's a part of a healthy diet is to be omnivorous. Whereas that's right, you eat plants and
vegetables,
animal products and vegetables.
Plants, vegetables, and meats. Sorry.
Yep. And I mean, so I was looking to pick holes in it, and I did find a couple of things. So a couple of things that struck me as, well, that's not being completely honest. So they had the strength athlete, the power lifter. They had a lot of athletes in there. One of them was the power lifter, and he was saying after he went vegan, he started to do PBs and, you know, all these incredible lifts that he couldn't do before. And the battle rope guy, he said he could do like an hour of battle rope.
Before his record was 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And now
how do you measure that? You know, like, okay, if I had a gun to your head, would you still be doing just 10 minutes? If you went on a completely carnivore diet, so no vegetables at all, maybe you could do an hour and 1 minute. You know, they didn't test it. It was just like flippantly said it. And then people will quote it afterwards as being this, wow, an hour as opposed to 10 minutes. Vegetables must be the key.
Yeah. You could have just been rested.
Yeah, it could be any amount of factors. But with the strength guy, I was like, okay, so this guy is doing these personal best lifts after being on a vegan diet for however long. What's to say he wasn't going to do those PBs anyway? Because this guy's developing as a lifter. What if could he have lifted more if he was just on a meat omnivorous diet? You don't know. And quoting him as being this great lifter, he's not even on the spectrum of, I don't think he is, I probably should look that up, but from my understanding he's not a number one. There are guys stronger than
weight
him.
Categories.
Yeah,
apparently.
but even in his weight category.
Oh, really?
Is he the number one?
I can't remember. Kresser brings it up in the rebuttal on the Rogan podcast.
Because you're saying that if that's the case, if being a vegan is going to increase your ability to do battle ropes, your endurance, say, 6 times over, so 1 hour instead of 10 minutes, and you're going to be doing all these PBs for your lifts, wouldn't that make sense then that every athlete in the world should become a vegan and then they'll be just breaking records and all sorts of things?
Well, that's what they're trying to push with the Game Changers documentary.
But it's obviously not true because there are the mountain, you know, that power lifter, I don't think he's vegan.
Which one was that?
You know, the guy who was in Game of Thrones.
Oh, they bring him up. Yeah, Cressa brings him up. He's massive apparently, like 6 foot.
Obviously
I don't know,
different.
7 or 8 or something. Big.
He's
guy,
enormous.
300 pounds.
Have you seen his wife?
No.
She's tiny.
Really?
It's pretty funny to see.
Wow.
Anyway.
Figure. But apparently this guy who was on in the Game Changers documentary, he's like 5'7" or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just using him as a different example.
So
obviously, it's a different weight class. But my point is, they're picking guys that are doing well in that field, like the fighter. Who was it? Nate Diaz?
Yeah.
Whoever fought Conor McGregor.
Yeah.
But then Conor McGregor beat him 5 months later.
5 months later.
They didn't really mean.
And apparently that Nate Diaz isn't actually a pure vegan.
He's not. He's a pescatarian, I think, at least.
He eats a lot of fish more so. And maybe he goes vegan, I believe, when he's prepping for training. But before that fight, it was short notice. Someone who was meant to fight, what's his name? McGregor
pulled out.
And Nate came in last minute. And so he most likely would have been on his pescatarian diet, maybe went to vegan a few days before the fight once he knew he was going to fight. But so
that was my problem with it. There was these few little holes in it. You know. Oh, they also talked at the very beginning about the gladiators.
And it seemed that they chose that diet.
Yeah,
but really, that was the diet. Like gladiators weren't athletes.
It was slaves, basically.
Heroes like today, like you would imagine today's athletes who are almost put up on a pedestal and worshipped. They were slaves. They were prisoners who were
fighting to
die.
Yeah, it wasn't a glorious. Yeah,
for the entertainment of the Roman audience.
Yeah.
So, and the food they ate was not the food of kings. They ate,
exactly.
The name they called them barley eaters or something. That's right. Like
it was a derogatory term.
It was like a tease for them.
Yeah. Yeah, so those were the things that kind of, there were a few other things, but they were the main ones that kind of put me off a little bit.
After listening to Chris Cressa go on, the first episode, when it was just him and Rogan, it really made me think, wow, okay. Because where I stand right now with diet, I believe I don't think there's one perfect diet for anybody. If there is, it's probably more like Chris Cressa is trying to push, and I believe Joe Rogan is too, a predominantly plant-based diet, fruits, vegetables, and your grains, if you're good with that, and good, pure, clean, hormone-free, antibiotic-free, grass-fed beef and poultry, wild-caught fish.
Yeah.
I mean, and then it's you figuring out your own body. If I push diet to anybody, I'm a big advocate now of learning to listen to your own body, how you individually respond to different food groups and what works for you. And that could even change on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
I sometimes crave certain things that when I normally have them, I don't do too well with them. But then sometimes I crave it. Even sometimes I need some junk food.
Yeah.
I'll need some chocolate or I'll need some chips, but I feel really good and I'll wake up the next day recovered. Or I need something starchy, like my body. I believe I'm getting better as I get older to listen to my body and know what it needs. Sometimes you need something sweet, like the kind of sweetness sugar you'd find in fruits. Sometimes I feel like I need some good protein, something more solid like meat or fish or chicken.
Yeah, your body will tell you typically.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in that.
Yeah.
I think if we should aim to get better at listening to our bodies and to what it needs and basing our diet around that and then testing what works for us. Like milk's not great for everybody, but some people are good with it. They're okay with it.
Yeah.
You know, you might not be good with meat, but you're good with fish and chicken. Or maybe you only need meat once a month. Some people might need it 3 times a week. You have to find out what suits and what works for you individually. And obviously, we all have different metabolisms. We all have different unique makeups. We all have different lifestyles, different age groups. Obviously, it's just there's so many things in the mix. That I don't believe anymore that there's one awesome diet that everyone should follow.
No, but that's the problem with the extremes where you have the vegans and you have the carnivores, and not all of them, but a lot of them try and advocate that their diet is the number one diet and you should be doing this and blah, 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 blah. That's the problem.
Yeah, and there's usually a book deal behind that or a documentary, and there's a way they're making money. So they have to make a decision and push and lean towards one direction.
Yeah. Great band.
Yeah, awesome.
Direction, 1D.
Yeah. Everyone leans to one direction.
But the thing I do definitely appreciate with vegans or vegetarians is like the not environmental, but the animal cruelty side of things. That's one thing that if someone tells me they're a vegan, because I don't have anything against vegans, obviously, but I do respect vegans who are doing it out of love for animals, because I love animals. I'm sure you do too, and I hate the cruelty behind it. But I'd love to be able to hunt for my own food. Obviously, it's not really possible at the moment, but one day, I don't know about you, but I would like to go and, it sounds bad, I'd like to kill an animal.
Oh, yeah.
Because I feel like that's a duty of someone who eats meat to take the life of an animal and go through that to appreciate, what you're eating. And I
get what you're saying.
Yeah. But for me, that's
like you've earned that meat. Almost.
Yeah. But just, I don't know, like it's not from a sadistic point of view, because that would, like, I feel like I'd cry. Like,
it'd be a sad thing to watch. I don't know if I could stomach.
I couldn't stomach it, but I feel like you should, you shouldn't be able to just go and buy meat from a store and then not understand the consequences. That was a living thing. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I think it's more, what's the word? Like if you're just buying the meat from the grocery store, you're almost
like
skipping the hard.
You're
skipping all the hard work, and obviously you're not even thinking about the animal that's been killed, so you can eat your meat. There's something different about going out there and hunting for it and seeing the death involved, and then obviously eating it.
It's like a rite of passage, I feel,
Yeah, and like you said, you would appreciate it more.
Yeah.
But I can imagine people who are being vegan, who are doing it for the animal rights, who are listening right now, are probably going, "Oh, you cruel monsters!" But and like I get all that too, and that's tough as well. Like if you're doing it for that, and maybe your body actually needs meat. I mean, one thing, Cressor has a good argument on why we need meat.
Yeah.
And I guess I think maybe some people could live a totally vegan diet. I don't know if anyone's done it long enough to know the long-term effects.
No, there would be people. I guess
there would have to be, right?
Yeah, it'd have to be.
Because there's the B12, obviously, that's a big one.
So
and
the problem,
you have to supplement. Then
you have to supplement.
Presser goes on about that, the importance of that, especially if you're nursing.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the rebuttal was, the animals you're eating are all supplementing also. So what's the difference? Yeah, so if you're eating a cow, then that cow's been given, whatever nutrients that it wouldn't normally get from the food that it eats.
Who was saying that? James?
James?
Yeah, it's James Wilkes.
Yeah, he was saying that. Which
he's
I
the
guess
guy who produced the Game Changers documentary.
Yeah. I found him a bit rude, that guy, when he was talking to Chris.
Yeah, I started listening to the second episode on the Joe Rogan experience, and
he didn't do himself any favors with his I want to say like smug kind of attitude it came across.
Cressor is a lot more calm, and he argues his point a little bit more maturely, maybe.
Yeah,
and he's a lot more calm about it. But what was I? Yeah, but he did mention that in order to get the B12, especially if you're a nursing mother, or especially for infants, if your parents, if you're both vegan and you're raising your kids as vegans, then they need to make sure they're getting their B12 because of damage to the myelin sheath, I believe, in the nervous system, and some of these damages are irreversible, and the effects,
because you don't get any B12
damage
from
massive.
Vegetables.
Yeah,
it's
that's
purely
right.
From animal product.
Yeah, and then he was talking about the amount of protein you would need if you're going to be off animal products, then you'd have to supplement with powders like hemp and
not soy.
Well,
soy is so bad for you.
There's obviously been a lot of negative feedback on soy, and they're genetically modified anyway.
That's another thing. Like I was in Coles the other day, and they had the Impossible Burger and all that kind of thing. And they had the chicken-free schnitzel, which I was personally offended as a schnitzel lover myself. I just couldn't believe you could do that. Like, there is no... It's not schnitzel, and that's not a steak. You know what I mean? And apparently, generally speaking, those Impossible meats are really bad for you. Yeah. And then they're full of chemicals.
I used to go to Umami Burger a lot in LA, and
like Umami Burger, truffle
burger.
Yeah,
they're great. Yeah, and they have the they have the, what's it called? The
mushroom.
No, it was called something.
They got a
meat-free
fake
one. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I forget the Impossible Burger.
Yeah, they're all
called
the
Impossibles. Yeah. And I've had a few at different burger joints, and it was really nice.
Did it taste like meat?
It did. Yeah, it did. Yeah. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, but now Chris Cressenbrick talks about how almost toxic these things are.
Yeah,
they haven't tested the long-term effects of these things. They don't even exactly know the makeup of some of the stuff that's in it. It's genetically modified.
It's just numbers, isn't it? It's oils and all sorts of crap.
It freaked me out. It freaked me out. It was like byproducts of things and that they haven't tested the long-term effects of. And we're just chowing them down. And they were given permission to still launch it out there to the masses.
Got it in KFC as well.
And that's freaky. That scares me. See, Cressa was all about, if you're on a vegan diet, you really need to supplement your protein. And you're not going, you'd have to eat a phenomenal amount of plants to get that.
Oh, you basically never could you?
Yeah.
You'd be so full.
So you would have to supplement with powders, which for some people, and like one of the bodybuilder athletes that was on the Game Changers doco, he admits he has a bunch of powders through the day.
Yeah.
So you've got the...
Well, that's the other thing is... if you're in the other qualm I had with it, and we'll get off this topic soon, but was the people you're representing are obviously high-end athletes. Now, if you're a high-end athlete, professional athlete, and you're a vegan, you can do it because you've got someone watching your macros and your macronutrients and micronutrients, and you can make sure that you're getting enough of everything. But for the average Joe who trains as well, they're not going to have the ability to make sure they're getting enough B12, enough of this, enough of that, and having everything monitored. And when they're fatigued, maybe they'll, their nutritionist will say you can have some more of this and have some more of that, and they have it at their ready all the time. Whereas a meat and an omnivorous diet, you're more likely to cover all your bases without really trying too hard. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
And again, that's a predominantly plant-based diet with having your meats and maybe your dairies every now and then as well. One last thing on Cressa and the protein powders. He's a big fan though of pure whole food protein sources.
Yeah.
But with the vegan diet, you have no real choice but to go to powders.
Yep.
So
that's right.
Yeah. Okay, we have the Impossible Burger.
What is it?
Ingredients right
water,
here. Yummy.
Wheat proteins. There you go. Some protein straight in. Coconut oil, potato protein, flavors, soy. So soy is the main one. Yeast, salt, soy protein isolate, some more soy, konjac gum, xanthan gum, thiamine.
It's just vitamins now. Yeah. They have
that
B12 in there.
Too bad. Yeah, it's B12 in there.
Right at the end. And that's all less than 2%. But there was something Chris had brought up about one of the main ingredients in there.
Yeah, what was it?
It was something to do with the soy, though.
Jeez, it looks like meat.
Yeah, phenomenal. But should wrap that one up. Anyway, watch Game Changers and then go onto the Joe Rogan podcast and check out Chris Cressa.
Yeah. And there's BioLane. BioLane is another guy.
BioLane?
BioLane is his handle. He's if you type in BioLane, he'll come up. But he does a
for Chris Cressa or
for against debunking the Game Changers.
Yeah, the Game Changers. Cool.
He's a pretty smart guy.
Awesome.
All right, let's move on.
Peloton Bike Ad.
All right,
who's seen it?
Yeah. So what did you think of it? I didn't think. I mean, okay, I watched it and thought, if you haven't seen it, just go into YouTube. Peloton Bike Ad, and basically what happens is this well-to-do lady, so they're in a very nice house. I think that was one part of the problem.
Yeah, it looked like they were. Yeah,
waking up for Christmas morning, and the wife, husband, and I think there was a kid in there too. Wake up and he holds her eyes closed or something, and surprise, yeah. And it's a Peloton bike, and then she does the slightly cringy, as if she's doing Instagram Live or whatever, saying, "Oh, day one of riding on my Peloton," and then she rides, and then it becomes easier. Yeah, it was scared of what? And then a year later, or whatever it is, her and her husband are like watching herself on the 70-inch TV screen.
She's created a little video for her husband as a little thank you. A year later, like wow, right.
So obviously,
what a year! Didn't know this was. I wouldn't. Didn't think I'd be here.
Didn't have
a
it in
later.
Me. Meanwhile, your husband's probably, you're probably a CEO of some company, to afford a house like that. But anyway, it was cringy at best. Like, I thought it was a bit silly because no one's doing that unless you're a psychopath.
And I believe she lost like 2 kilos.
Yeah, she was already quite in shape.
Yeah. She lost 2 kilos in
a
year.
Yeah. So, but it was dubbed as being sexist, wasn't it? Did you see those articles?
Yeah, I read a bit about it, and they were also being rude about like if my husband bought me a bike that's right. I'd get a divorce, and
that was the thing that really pissed me off a little bit. If I got first of all, there's nothing wrong. All right, we've got to be a bit careful how we word this, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if I got a Peloton bikes are awesome from what I understand. I think they're pretty expensive, So I would love it. If I gave my wife one, trying to think, I don't think she would be upset. What I'm trying to say is I don't think you should be upset getting a piece of exercise equipment as a gift.
You don't think that your wife would look at that and go, "Oh wow, he must want me to lose weight"? Because this is the thing we talked about. Yeah. Most people don't see it as
positive overall.
Like there's more to exercise than losing weight, and society or the media's really pushed weight loss as one of the main or they've pushed weight loss as one of the main factors to why we should exercise. And it almost sounds like then if you don't have weight to lose, if you're slim, then there's no point to exercise. You don't have to. Exercise is something that you should do if you're overweight and you need to lose weight. But like that's
good point.
One of the small byproducts of exercising. Both of us are, fans of being fit. We're passionate about healthy living, and obviously that goes beyond exercise. And there's mental health, emotional health, and everything, relational health. But exercise, physical health is a big part of that, including diet, which we just got off talking about it for like 25 minutes. But physical health, physical training does so much more than help you lose weight or, if anything, maintain weight. It
can basically, to a degree, cure depression for some people.
The hormones it releases, the feel-good hormones, and
brain
the way,
function,
it just clears your mind and helps you. I know I feel a lot more confident, a lot more ready for the day when I start off the day with exercise. I feel a lot more clearer, sharper, more confident, more happy.
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah,
but there's like a stigma that if you work out, especially if you lift weights, that you're some meathead, or some vain person that only cares about their appearance, which is not the truth.
And or you're doing it to lose weight, and even with healthy eating, people think like, why are you, like I've had people tell me, why do you care about what you eat, man? You don't need to lose weight. It's like, I'm not doing it to lose weight. I'm doing it because I want longevity of life and I want to live old and I want to live old well.
If you go to a restaurant and if it was 2 people and you were to order something super healthy, you would get more, disdained looks and like, why are you ordering that? Than if you ordered a burger and fried chicken. You know what I mean?
This is where we're getting it wrong. And maybe people are seeing the ad in a wrong way just to defend the ad.
Yeah. But I think they're purposely trying to see the ad in the wrong way just to get offended. The perpetually offended people.
So in defense of the ad, even though it was a little bit cringy and cheesy and they could have maybe done it differently, I think the attacks it is getting a little bit unfair, and it's got a lot to do with just the way society has viewed exercise and healthy eating. It's all about losing weight.
Yeah.
And if your husband gets you a bike, that means he wants you to exercise to lose weight, not because he maybe wants you. Maybe the wife was depressed and she was finding it hard to go to the gym and get back into her fitness routine after having a child, and she wanted a little bit of help. So the husband bought her a bike so she can do it in the privacy of her own home and get back into a healthy routine, not to lose weight. She only lost 2 kilos for the whole year, but maybe the benefits were more so in her different mindset and just feeling happier throughout the week and throughout that whole year.
But even if it was to lose weight, what's if she? I mean, she wasn't overweight, but there's nothing wrong with that either.
Well,
there's nothing wrong with being in shape. You know,
if I was putting on weight, I would want my wife to encourage me to get back in shape and help me out along the way with that too. I wouldn't say, "Ooh, I want to divorce you because you're calling me fat. You should love me."
You know, they were saying the guy,
again,
the actor was from Canada.
The guy who played
the guy, and he was getting like hate because not directly at him, but at the character saying, "Oh, I bet he beats his wife behind closed doors," and stupid stuff like that.
Well, this is the day and age we live in, though. I feel like ever since the whole Me Too movement as well, like everybody feels like they can and they should just speak their mind and like there's all this whole politically correct thing going on now, and it's like
it's been going on for a while.
Getting offended at everything and finding a reason to get offended at everything, and we all want to speak our mind about it, and it's really silly.
Yeah, but you know what the problem is? I'm trying to understand. I think it's because everyone has a voice now, because you can have a Twitter account and whatever, and that normally but that normally still wouldn't mean anything. However, some classy news sites will take, because they're so desperate for clicks and for news, they will take someone's tweet or like two people's tweets. That's someone, for example, the Peloton ad. Let's say, you tweeted how offended you were about this ad. They'll take your tweet and base a whole news article around that, put a clickbait headline on there, and then you are led to believe that it's like half the population are so offended at this ad, when it's just one guy tweeting and some, 21-year-old journalist at a news station just purposely went hashtagging, trying to find something that someone's offended, and the internet is offended, and that's it.
And then once it gets pushed like that, everybody else kind of wants to jump on that bandwagon. They think that's the consensus.
People think that's the consensus.
Yeah, and and then I'm going to see something too. And whereas they've probably seen it and they didn't think anything of it, but then they read that article and they're like,
maybe it was pretty sexist.
Yeah, and I want to jump on that too, because
look at me, I'm virtuous.
15 seconds of fame or whatever.
Yeah, people suck.
Peloton Bike Ad. Give us your Peloton Bike Ad.
Give us your Peloton.
Check it on. Yeah, give us your Pelotons.
Check it on. Give us your Peloton. Bikes. You're doing really well here, Jay.
Yes.
I must say. What was that?
Oh my gosh.
Give us your Peloton.
Give us your Pelotons, mate. Now give us your feedback. Watch it.
Oh yeah, right? Well now we're going to have a YouTube channel, obviously. Yeah. If you're watching this, it's on YouTube.
Watch the Peloton Bike Ad and let us know what you think about it.
Or not.
Yeah, or not.
All right, moving on.
Yourself.
Ghostbusters, yeah.
Yes,
so,
Ghostbusters trailer.
Another thing to get offended about. I loved it.
I was very moved by it.
Yeah, I had goosebumps watching it.
My brother sent me a text all the way from Denver, Colorado, and I checked it out, and wow, I got goosebumps.
Yeah, it's pretty cool because you obviously watched the original 2 films.
Yes.
Did you see the 2016
Part of our
one?
childhood, man.
Yeah.
We were 6, 7 when those ones came out. I remember having the Ghostbuster car. I still remember
the Ecto one.
Playing with that, in the primary school playground.
It's a classic film.
And the Ghostbuster toys. I remember getting stung by a blue bottle when I was like 7. Some beach in Sydney, and I had Egon in my hand, and because I got stung, I lost Egon. And my dad, who's not a good swimmer, poor guy, but he came out and he was like, what happened? And I told him I got stung, and I told him my toy, and he saw it, and he went out there, man. Like little dude who can't swim, and he went out there and he got my Egon.
I got it.
It's just a bloody good memory of my dad, So that's Ghostbusters for you.
What a segue.
Yes.
That's good.
But so it's connected to our childhood. So seeing, I remember, I haven't watched the 2016 Ghostbusters. I remember hearing a little bit about it. I don't even believe I've probably seen some of the clips back when it first came out. But I remember feeling a little bit, shoot, it's Ghostbusters and it's different. Like,
yeah, it was. It wasn't just different because of the cast. It was different because of the whole tone.
The whole tone of
highly slapstick comedy.
It's like they were making a joke about
it. They were making a joke. A lot of it. There are a couple of scene comparisons where, I don't know if you remember in Ghostbusters 1, where they're in the elevator in that hotel and they're going to get Slimer. I think it was one of their first missions.
Yes.
And they're basically, they use that whole scene going up in the elevator to, what's the word when you're telling a story? Like giving the information about how the packs work and how they have never tested it before and all that. And they did something similar in the 2016 version, and it was just techno babble. They just had all these made up words, and it was all slapstick. And then one of them should have died because she tests the I can't remember any of the words. What's the gun called?
I can't know. I forget.
Oh Jesus, that's terrible.
It's been a while since
people are screaming it right now. Anyway. And she's like flying up in the air and all sorts of things. And it's like, oh, how hilarious. Oh, her legs would be chopped off by now and all this kind of stupid stuff, you know?
The
Proton Pack.
Proton Pack.
Bloody hell.
Crossing the streams, mate.
Yes. Never cross the streams. Hey, Jay?
My twin brother and I crossed the streams when we were kids.
Oh,
really? Is that too much information?
Yeah, pretty much. What do you mean? With what?
Mate, we both peed.
Oh, okay. Dude, Jesus.
And being little kids who had just watched Ghostbusters, we crossed the street.
Oh, you did it intentionally.
Sorry, Chris.
Oh, God. Yeah, he's just disowned you.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, he's just blocked me on Facebook, Instagram.
It actually got some, and this could be something from what I literally just mentioned with finding a couple of people on Twitter. So I'm aware of that it might not be as big an issue as it's played out to be. But there were some people complaining that
for the new trailer,
because it was allowing, misogynists and all those kind of people
get the kind of film they actually wanted, right?
Yeah. But it's obviously
the guys they're obviously the guys they're talking about are the guys who put down the 2016.
Yeah, but everyone kind of put that down typically because it wasn't. This looks like a better film, It tugs at the heartstrings. It looks. It
looks like it's better storytelling, better filmmaking.
Like I had no
the quality of the film.
Yeah,
it just
and
looks
it's not
like
because of the cast. Like I don't appreciate it when. And it would happen the same way if it was the roles were reversed. If there was an all-female film and then they decided to make it all-male for no reason and just rehash it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, then that would be silly.
I would be against it. Like, come up with new ideas or a proper sequel.
Yeah, like stay connected to the true original story because they did not do that, right? With 2016, did they keep connected to the original?
Well, the funny thing is, really? I think it was a sequel. However, in this new version, they're basically ignoring that film existed.
Because they're calling it part 3,
it's
right?
Part 3, which I found hilarious. I think the original cast...
like that,
yeah.
To be honest.
The original cast...
Be honest and real on this podcast, so sorry if you're getting offended, but bear with us.
So I'm going to see it for sure.
Yeah, definitely. It's got the kid from...
Yeah, Stranger Things. That was another negative thing people were saying. It's basically just Stranger Things because it's got that 80s vibe as well.
But like Ghostbusters,
I love that stuff, man.
Yeah, definitely.
Screw you. Anyway.
And then there's Bill Murray is in it too, I believe. I saw his name.
It looks like Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd.
Is he in it too?
Wow. They're supposed to be in it. And I don't know if Sigourney Weaver will be in it or Rick Moranis, but obviously not... oh, my goodness. What's his name? Egon.
Yeah, what was his name again?
Yeah, but his son is the director and writer.
Egon's son?
Writer. Yeah,
guy who played
that's
Egon.
why it's going to be... there's a lot of hype about it as well. Yeah, Harold Ramis. So it's his son who is...
wow.
I know, I'm pretty sure he wrote it.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was a shame that they didn't make this when he was still alive.
Well, it's saying here. Oh no, that's the character.
That's the character. He's not actually a scientist.
Oh
Jay.
my gosh!
I saw that PhD. It's like, ooh, he's an actual
freaked out.
scientist.
Wow, it was like good casting.
Yeah.
Harold.
Yeah.
Harold
Ramis.
There you
When
go.
did he
Wow,
die?
look at him. Did he?
A few years
he
ago,
died.
5 years ago. Yeah, that's what I mean. That's why he obviously can't be in it.
Yes.
And I
man,
think it was held back by Bill Murray for whatever reason. Didn't want to do another one. But now he does. Anyway, we can go on
so
about
he
that
died
forever.
before the 2016 one came out.
Oh, yeah. Well, lucky
Might
for
be
him.
a good thing for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, there you
Let's
go.
move on.
Alrighty. We
So-
have
The Secret.
The Secret.
So this is obviously very old. It's about 10 years old or so.
Yeah.
I have seen it. We're talking about The Secret movie, I guess it's called, and then the subsequent books and all sorts of things that they made based on the law of attraction. That's a real thing. I was fully into it at one point. And you hadn't seen it before, Joe.
I hadn't seen
have.
it.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen it. I had heard a lot about it. It came out in,
2006.
was it 2006? Yeah,
Yeah,
that was the year I
15 years
started
ago.
doing acting. I started my first classes that year and being around artists and creatives.
Yeah.
That thing is, I don't know,
Oh,
it's
that's the
really
book.
in that whole
That's the
circle.
book edition, though. I
Yeah,
think the
that's-
film came out
what-
later.
The film came out later.
I
Okay,
think
so
so.
it was a book first. And the author is Rhonda Byrne,
Yeah.
and she's Aussie.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. So I had heard a lot about it. Actors and acting coaches, teachers were talking a lot about it back in 2006 and 7. Yeah.
What do you think? What's your...
And I never watched it, but I knew what it was basically about. And I was already kind of into, putting it out there and I was hearing like people talking about, putting it out there. You have to put it out there and think it and feel it and really believe it. And I was kind of getting into that in my mid-20s, and I saw some fruit come out of that, definitely. But yeah, never seen the documentary. Watched it recently in the last couple of nights. And yeah, at first I thought, this is super cheesy.
Yeah.
And the acting's horrible in it.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah, but the message, it can also be a little bit cheesy. I wrote down some things here. I did like, there was a guy, because at first it can seem like it's all about getting the money you want and it's all material stuff. But there was a guy, James Arthur Ray, he said something. He said, I love that he pushed the need to be abundant in all areas
James
of
Arthur
life
Ray.
for true wealth. And it's not just about getting that car you want or that girl you want or that guy you want or that house or that money, those checks, and that there's a lot more to life than just having all that stuff as well. So I like that he pushed that.
Hold on, before you continue. Was that the bald guy?
No, James Arthur Ray. He was
Arthur Ray. What did he look like?
I can't remember exactly.
Okay, hold on. Because
But I took note
okay,
what he said.
James Arthur Ray. Oh no, maybe I'm thinking of someone else. Because there was one guy in there who got into
Aussie
big
guy?
trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would
Leadership
probably
and performance
be
advisor.
leadership and performance advisor.
No, I think it's someone else. Yeah.
Maybe James Arthur Ray, the Secret.
Yeah, this is the guy. Him.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm thinking of someone else.
No, it wasn't.
I don't remember him.
Yeah, he talks, and he's probably he looks a bit older there now.
Okay. Sorry, guys. But there was one guy who got into the secret fraud. Some people got into a bit of trouble.
I don't. It's hard to really test if it works. You know, there was one thing that I feel like they mentioned. Stay in joy and happiness. You know, don't if you're. They had images, visuals of people crying and being depressed, and like how don't stay there. You'll keep attracting that. But like life is life, and people are going to die that you care about, and there is a time for weeping and mourning. I don't think we should totally like ignore that because then we're going to bring more of it, or have a fear that we're going to bring more weeping and mourning if we keep weeping and mourning. I think there's a time to heal,
Of course.
and
Otherwise,
grieve.
you're just delusional.
You can't just be like, oh, my mother died. I'm got to be happy straight away because I don't want more.
Look at the positive side.
Yeah,
I think, take it on face value. Like positive thinking, obviously that's good. But sitting there and thinking, $1 million, $1 million, $1 million isn't going to make $1 million. It has happened, I guess, out of luck. That was my problem. So when I watched it the first time, a week later, I got my first. I was in a film called Fool's Gold, and I didn't know what residuals were, and I got this really big residual check just before I moved to LA. And I had just watched The Secret, and I was like, "Oh wow, this stuff works."
It's connected,
But then I still don't own a Porsche, and I was going to bed at night going, Porsche 911. I'm going to drive a Porsche 911. And it hasn't happened. So it doesn't work.
But
That's what I'm saying.
I do see the importance of, I believe we have two choices in life. We can believe that we can achieve things, or we can believe they're not for us. Like we can believe that we can be financially free and we can have the kind of income we want and the dream job. I'm passionate about individuals not just going to work and ticking off the box and, punching in, punching out, hating their jobs. I know like there's jobs that we have to do, but even those jobs that you might not like, there are people out there that might enjoy them. But I'm a big believer that we can all find something we're wired for, that we're good at. We can go out and do that and even make good money doing it. And even if it just brings in an average income, if you love doing it, that's just going to make such a big difference in your life. But I do believe in having a positive outlook on life, and I do believe that there's power in our words and in our thoughts. I believe we can manifest things. Because the other alternative is to believe and speak out words that are negative, that we can't have that, or I'm not good enough, or that's not for me, and that, if anything, if it doesn't attract anything, it changes the way you feel inside. So positivity makes you feel better inside.
It does.
Just believing that, I believe I can be financially free. I believe I can be successful at the career path I've chosen to pursue. I believe I could have the love I'm looking for, and just go out. And it can also give you, if you believe you can get it, it gives you the fuel and the motivation then to step out and do what you need to do. And that's an important step. It's not just thinking about it, speaking about it, but you also have to play your part. You have to go out there, step out into the world and work hard too. But if you're going to step out and work hard, you might as well believe that you can do it, because that'll give you the fuel you need to keep going when it gets hard. But if you're already believing that's not going to happen for me, then there's no point in even stepping out there, because as soon as it gets hard, you're going to be like, see, I told you it's not for me, and you're going to want to give up. And if you do keep going, you're going to hate it. So like we've both pursued the acting path, and we still are, but you have to truly believe, even if it feels delusional sometimes, that there is an opportunity and that it can actually happen. Otherwise, don't even try. Pack your bags up, go home.
That brings me to a point about faking it till you make it.
Yes,
and
that was another.
Like fully believing that you can do something. That seems like, if you want to use the acting analogy, it would be, up and coming actors to be have the ability to do a lead role in a film, for example, or you could be anything, working in a company and then being a CEO. I think there is something definitely to, for lack of a better phrase, faking it till you make it. Like believing in yourself enough that you can do anything. But that's more so because I really think that we put things on pedestals that shouldn't really be there. And as an acting, for example, there are, like, I was watching The Mandalorian, which is the Star Wars TV series at the moment, which started off fantastic, but I feel like it's going on a little bit of a downturn, going downhill.
Oh, bummer. You brought that up in our first episode.
Did we?
Yeah, you brought up The Mandalorian.
How it was good.
3 episodes in.
Yeah. Fourth episode was...
took a turn.
I didn't like it, and the 5th episode as well. It was some cheesy acting and performances. I don't want to sound bitter, but I don't know if it was I don't think it was the actors. I think it was the script more than anything. They're trying to make it more like children, like a children's TV show.
Oh, really?
You know,
Are they changing the audience they're focusing on?
I don't know. It's Disney, so
it
would make sense.
So what made you bring this up in regards to faking it?
Because
you make it?
when I saw a couple of these characters in this show, when you look at Star Wars, as an actor who's into that thing especially, it's like you cannot get much higher than that, you know, than Star Wars. Epic. It's like if you're in Star Wars...
production to be a part of.
Like you were saying before we started the podcast, you would, you know, no matter what happens, no matter how bad it is, your name is then etched in history. And obviously from an income point of view, you're going to be very well off.
Imagine the residuals.
Yeah. But
do you think Daisy is getting some good residual checks?
Of course she is. You crazy? Is she single? I don't know. I'm a married man.
I don't know. I should look. But, I wonder if she's watching. If you're watching, Daisy,
I highly doubt
I'm
that.
single too. That's probably why. So I'm saying things like this.
You've distracted me.
Oh, sorry, man.
Totally off.
No, but to be a part of something like that.
That was going to be a good snippet for the YouTube. You know, like Roger goes deep.
It's got to be all me getting the snippets.
What was I saying?
You're talking about even just being
a
part of that and getting like the residuals and the money.
No. It wasn't about the money. It was about seeing those people do those roles, and I realized, Jesus Christ, like that could be me. There was no reason why, as long as you're capable enough, that you could be in that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I could be that character, like we said with the Force Awakens and one of the Oscar Isaac role. You know, who has a similar look to us, dark features. But normally what you would think is if you had an audition for Star Wars, imagine how nervous you would be, how nervous I would be. But really...
the weight of that, because you know what that would do to your career. You know how much that's going to put you out there.
Yeah, but also you would doubt yourself. You would think, man, am I good enough for Star Wars?
Yeah, because of that.
Yeah, whereas what you should be thinking is, you know, and what I kind of realized, and you kind of have to see it again and again after seeing things like that, is like, of course I could do that. Are you kidding? I've done stuff like that.
And that might not even be faking it.
That's just
owning it and knowing
belief.
your worth and your value and your skill, and knowing that you've put in the hard yards and you're good enough.
That's right.
You're just not known yet, and you haven't been given the opportunity.
Yeah, which is where the positive stuff from The Secret comes in.
Yeah.
It's like if you are fully confident, and you know, I guess you can see that with relationships as well, with arrogant guys who have no problem meeting women.
They seem to believe they can get it, and they're
comfortable
they get in their own skin.
Their confidence.
And they go out there and they take the action that's needed because they haven't talked themselves out of it.
Yeah.
And then you see that in acting too. There's these guys
all the
go
time.
in there, girls and guys go in there blasé, not even caring about it, taking all the weight off the actual audition, and because they're relaxed, they're in their skin, they give a better performance, or they just ooze confidence.
It's not even about the performance, I think. It's
it's about this oozing charm and confidence because they're relaxed.
And that goes with everything.
That camera is so good at capturing that. That's
but
sometimes
it's not just
why
that. It's like, sorry to cut you off, but like I've been thinking about that in sort of the business world as well. You know, like you see a CEO of some company, or politicians are a perfect example, where they seem inept a lot of the times. Like a lot of them seem really inept and hopeless. And they probably are to a degree with certain things, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas you automatically put them on this pedestal, like you have to be so smart and, you know, so ambitious and blah, 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 blah. But that's not always the case. Obviously it's the case a lot of the time, but not always. And then with, because we know this world best with film, we see some films or TV shows that get greenlit and wonder, why the hell was that show greenlit? Obviously, it's going to tanks, you know. But someone in a boardroom with 10 other people said, "Oh yeah, this is a great idea."
Yeah, we give them so much. We put them up on pedestals, like casting directors, producers.
Casting directors. How many times has a casting director got it wrong? You know,
big time. Yeah, and even critics who have said negative things about certain actors who end up becoming icons, and
James Dean, like you said before about that casting director, not a critic,
but amount to much and have the look, and James Dean. But that's why you can't. I believe there's so much involved, right, with being confident in who you are, knowing who you are and what you have to offer, not putting the job or the people in the room up on a pedestal like there's some experts and I'm not good enough for them. I'm not good enough to work on this kind of project with that kind of director, with those kind of actors. Even the people, the directors and the actors, they're all good, and you have to respect the ones who have come in before you and have a legacy behind them. But still, at the end of the day, they're just human beings, and they're not perfect. They're going to make mistakes too. And we go in there thinking we're not at that level yet. But if you can believe you are, and that's where the whole envisioning it, seeing yourself operating at that level you want to be operating at, speaking it over yourself, that's even biblical.
Yeah.
Like it's mentioned many times in the Bible how, to speak life over yourself and to speak positively. And we can create our worlds like that. I remember there was a girl I studied with back at Screenwise in Sydney when we had our graduation, and I signed with a good agent in Sydney, and I had done very well in the class, and she came up to me. It was very sweet of her. She came up to me at the end, and she said, "You're going to be fine." She goes, just make sure you create it the way you want it to unfold. And I never forgot that. I'll go back. I did forget that advice, but I never really forgot it because I'm still bringing it up now. But I forgot to apply it to my life over the years. So, I don't know if the secret's totally correct, but there's something in speaking positively.
Yeah, absolutely. Just don't be delusional.
Yeah, but that was the whole secret thing. You know what? Before we go off that whole thing, I did read there is a time where it's cool if faking it till you make it is cool if it's doing something for you inside and it's helping you function better for the job. But then it's bad when you're faking your credentials and your skills at say a job interview, saying, "Oh yeah, I'm good. I've done all that.
I can do that.
I've done that 1,000 times." And then you go in and do the job, and you don't know how to do it. That's when it's bad. I read an article about that, and I went to a men's conference maybe 3 weeks ago, and a guy, one of the speakers, brought up a different way of looking at that whole fake it till you make it. He said, "Faith it till you make it." I thought that was pretty interesting.
Deep.
Faith it till you make it.
Is that going to be a YouTube clip?
Yeah. We should call this one Faith
Wait,
It.
can I say it the same and then we'll just use mine?
Yeah.
Face it till you make it, guys.
Face it?
Roger Shabiris says that.
Face it?
Face it.
What did you say?
Faith.
Faith it, yes.
Yeah, faith. Faith. God, you bloody Maltese people.
Faith Martin. She's great.
Plug. Let's take a sidestep here.
Yes.
I want to see some Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
I've been holding out. So the trailer for Top Gun 2 came out today. I haven't seen it all day. Normally I would watch it straight away.
So this is the new one.
New trailer. This is the proper trailer.
Okay. I watched one where
it's just like
he's in the classroom again, or he's teaching the students.
No, I don't think he is a teacher in this one.
No?
He's still a pilot. That's the whole thing.
Still a pilot? And
I don't know.
Who was the girl from the original?
Kelly McGuinness.
Yeah, she was great.
Yeah.
She's not in this one though, right? Are there flashbacks to them?
You haven't seen Kelly McGuinness lately?
Yeah, no. Okay. I did look her up recently.
Yeah.
I watched Top Gun with my brother.
Oh yeah.
And we
looked
her up.
Yeah, I don't think she's in this.
Okay.
But let's see. You ready to watch it? We'll watch it. Hopefully we'll try and get a picture of this.
For you guys.
Let's see.
But if you're listening in on the podcast, forgive us.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Well, you're going to hear it anyway. Let's go. Ooh. Pretty sure he's flying the plane as well.
Jeez.
Tom Cruise, freaking legend. The soundtrack's in.
Your instructor is one of the finest pilots this program has ever produced.
F-18, I believe. Tom back on the motorbike.
Her legendary. What he has to teach you may very well mean the difference between life and death.
Looks like
Your reputation precedes you.
I have to admit, I wasn't expecting an invitation back.
They're called orders, Maverick.
Next summer.
Classic song.
Love this song.
Wow, it's a slow version.
Yeah.
Getting goosebumps.
Goose.
Good morning, aviators. This is your captain speaking. Today's exercise is dogfighting.
2 versus 1? Hey, you gotta be kidding.
John Hamm. Wow. It's definitely Goose's son. Some guys.
What's the name? The actress.
Who's it?
She was in that song in the 80s too. I Jennifer.
No, Jennifer Connelly. Is that her? Ooh, look at that. You see that?
Wow.
So, wow. He's in like a halo suit, one of those high altitude. I think it's like a special aircraft. Wow. Man, he is awesome. Like, you know, he's
Legend.
obviously a little bit... people say he's a little bit crazy. He has to be a bit crazy to do stuff like that. I'd like to find out if he actually flew the planes. I know he asked and he wanted to do it. But, you know, in Mission Impossible, I don't know if it was Fallout or Rogue Nation, one of them, he learnt to fly a helicopter just for that stunt scene in the film. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's pretty crazy. And then he's flying a helicopter doing these stunts.
Wow.
His films are quality. You know, he's a proper legit action star still, and he's
had a
how
long
old?
career, and
Oh,
he's
he's
still
had such
going
an
strong.
awesome
He hasn't really faded much at all.
He hasn't. He just
And
made.
if he has in seasons, it's only been for a season.
Yeah.
And he's come back firing.
Well, he's doing a film that he did. He's 57 now. He did the first one, I think he was 24 or 26 years old.
He's very young.
You know, he's still doing the Mission Impossibles from when he was in his early 30s. And there's no difference. Like, I believe it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And you just have to respect the guy. Like, that is the perfect career. I couldn't, like, and as an actor as well, he's a phenomenal actor. If you see him in Magnolia or and other films like that. But as an action star, so I watched Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol the other day.
Yeah, you
hadn't
mentioned
seen
that.
it, and it's
haven't
when they're in
seen
the
that
Burj Dubai, something. Anyway, you know the big building in Dubai, the tallest.
Oh, I'm not too
Anyway.
familiar with the name of it though.
Yeah.
Haven't-
Like he's climbing on the outside, but all sorts of awesome
wow.
stuff. But the film was actually good, and I was relating it to other action films that I've seen before. And then, you know, once they make more and more, they just deteriorate over time.
Yeah.
Those films are still quality films.
quality,
like
huh?
on its own, it's a good film. It's not just because it has Tom Cruise. That's what I like about it. It had Jeremy Renner and some other people who were awesome. But yeah, I don't know.
Did he not climb or hang on to a plane as well? He got strapped.
Yeah, that's in
onto
the
a
one
plane?
after. That's
Wow,
Rogue Nation.
and
That's
the
how I
plane
dislocated
took
my
off.
shoulder. So I watched the trailer for Rogue Nation where the plane's taken off, this big cargo plane, and he's holding on the outside.
And
Literally,
then they took off and landed with him on it. Just
he
to
pulled himself in. Yeah. To shoot
to
it.
shoot that scene.
Yeah.
But he was strapped on, obviously for safety
strapped.
reasons.
But still,
we don't want to lose Cruise.
Yeah, but still, that's so awesome.
Yeah, but he was taking the G-force and everything, the spin of that
You see him
plane.
shatter his ankle in the last one?
No.
He jumped from one building to another, and then his ankle. I'll show
How
you.
do you recover from that, though?
Okay, not only did he. I watched the trailer where he's climbing outside the plane, and I thought, this guy, and I got so pumped. I went for a run, through near where I live. There's a track, and there was like a creek and fallen trees, and I'm like, a big tree, a log had fallen over the creek, and it was about 6 feet high or something like that. And I was like, well, you know, I had music pumping from Top Gun, and Tom Cruise just held on a plane. I'm going to walk across this thing, and I walked across it. Got to the other end, I was like, yeah. And then it was a dead end. It was all bush. So I went to go backwards and I slipped, fell, and slightly dislocated and tore my shoulder. Oh. Freaking Tom.
You slipped on
It's your fault, man.
Tommy, it's not...
Landed on my shoulder.
Such a nice guy after all.
No, I'm just over him now completely.
Getting Roger here to do crazy stuff.
Look at this. So he broke his ankle. And then
midway through filming, right? So
sorry, this is great. I'll just skip ahead just so Jay can see the scene.
Speed and the momentum of the run, and it's in London. There we go.
So it's keeping the.
Okay, so here he goes. Look at that.
Wow, that's awesome. Now, if you watch it,
Here we go.
We shot it with 3 cameras.
Okay, here he goes, and
far out. That's awesome. We're watching the clip where Tom Cruise jumps from one building to another. That's Henry Cavill in that as well.
he's an Aussie, right?
No, British.
No, the other guy.
No, he's English as well.
He's English, okay. He was in that...
Yeah, kill me 3 times. Yeah. Watch.
here we go. And watch that. Watch this.
Oh my God! Look at his ankle. Right, so that was it. The doctor said, you're never going to run again, and blah, blah, blah. I think it was like 10 weeks later or something. He was back running. He was just doing hours of rehab every day, and he got back so he could keep filming. Maybe it wasn't even 10 weeks. It was probably less.
Oh my gosh, do you think he was on some
Oh,
high-end
yeah,
roids
of course.
and like
something to help
supplements
recover?
and
But
whatever?
still,
freaky
the
stuff,
doctor said
but-
you're not running again. And this machine of a man.
Unreal. Wow.
Sorry, guys. Just
Wow.
a bit, I've seen Top Gun trailer and I'm a bit overwhelmed right now. Let's move on, mate. We're talking about Tom forever. So did we miss anything? Tim Dillon?
Tim Dillon's rant.
You want to quickly go through that?
Yeah,
That has
we can bring
some,
up the other guys next episode, maybe.
Okay, cool. So Tim Dillon is a comedian from Los Angeles. I listen to his podcast and I find him pretty hilarious. And he had a rant that I shared with you.
So I listened to
like
that
a bit of
one.
a rant, I guess.
I enjoyed the podcast, yeah.
Yeah. So what was he talking? He was talking about why he was questioning why was he in LA, which is like, and why is he in Florida, for example, which is more of a metaphor for why is he doing what he's doing? Who is he trying to please?
Yeah.
And I guess if you're in the arts, like we are, that kind of resonated straight away.
And he mentioned being 33 and
He's still young, but
he's younger than us.
Yeah.
And still going after it, and he's reached a certain level of success.
Yeah,
he's
but
not
super famous, obviously.
super famous, but he's also not in the beginning stages. Like some of his friends apparently still are. They're still going to drop-ins and stuff like that in New York City. So they're still like roughing it out in the Northeast through the cold winters, going into these drop-in kind of. What did he call them?
Open mics.
Open
where
mics,
You
yeah.
basically go to a comedy club and you put your name down.
Still trying
It's
to get some
for
break,
us,
and
like an audition for a commercial.
he pretty
or
much was
something.
going F that. Like
Yeah, we're saying, well, why? At what
it
point?
gets to a certain point, like you need to ask yourself, why? Who are you trying to impress?
What are you
going
missing
after?
out on? By just focusing on one thing.
Yeah, just focusing on one thing to become a successful comedian or a successful actor. What else? What other parts of life are you missing out on that you could be enjoying, but you're not because maybe you're spending your time living in a city that's not home? It's different, I guess, if Los Angeles or New York happens to be where your family is as well. But for most people there, we've got up and left our home and our family and our close friends to go to the city where we think we need to be to make it. And I spent many years in Los Angeles trying to get that agent or that manager and trying to get that elusive audition for that big part.
But you're always trying to please someone else, please the agent,
there's
please
so
the
many,
casting director, please the director on if you get a part,
And
as opposed
gets
to
to a point
worrying
where
about yourself.
Gets to a point where you feel like even the friendships you're making, and there's definitely a focus there. People are making friends. They're making friends who could hopefully help them climb up the ladder. So there's also a lot of like, what can you do for me when people come to making friends in these cities? Not always. It's not always the case. I have made some great legit friends in these cities, in New York, in Los Angeles. But but there is a feel for that, especially when you feel like you need to go to these networking events to meet people and become friends with these people. The focus is to to build your career. So it's not genuine. It's just
networking.
I never really did well
worst.
to go. I never really went to many of them anyway. I was
Imagine
working nights to try and survive.
So what do you do when you go to a networking event, which I've been to before in LA, in here? It's like, a bunch of people who want to give out their name or card so someone else can help their career. But everyone else is there to help their career. So it's like, it's just so lame. Fake friend. How you going? What do you do? And I hate small talk, man.
Yeah. The best way to get those kind of connections is probably through a legit friend who's probably connected, if he happens to be connected and he knows you well and he believes in your talent, that he can probably push you forward to a big manager or agent or casting director, something like that. But yeah, Matt, sorry, what was his name again? Tim Dillion?
Yeah.
Matt Dillion, that's another guy.
No.
Yeah, not who we're talking about.
No, he's not as funny.
No.
Yeah.
But yeah, interesting point he brought up. And the question, was, what else are you missing out on in life in order to wholeheartedly pursue one goal? We've asked this question to ourselves. And I'm here in Sydney now, where I'm with, I have more close friends and family here, and I'm still doing acting. So yeah, this question is something we've had to ask. Why do we have to be in LA, and is it really worth it? And so maybe we could possibly end this podcast with that question.
Oh no, we can't.
Right?
No.
Not yet.
No, not yet. We have got to do the question from the listener.
Yes. We can round out our talking
Hey.
with that question.
Yeah. All right.
Why are you pursuing what you're pursuing?
All right. So the question from the listener this week is, hey guys, I'm in a pretty serious relationship with this great girl. And a few days ago, she got really upset at me as a few girls from work were commenting on some of my posts, I assume Instagram or Facebook posts, and being a little bit cheeky in the comments.
Alrighty.
Obviously, there's nothing going on. Well, it's not obvious, but I trust you. But I do like the attention from girls in general. I can understand that. I don't want to be a tool and not talk to any women at all just because I have a girlfriend. Should I delete comments like that or not respond at all? Is my girlfriend just being silly? What do you guys think? Jay Pace, in your prestigious expert opinion,
Oh yes.
what would you say if you had a girlfriend and she was, and you had girls from work, let's say another actress would be a perfect example, commenting on one of your sexy photos with your shirt off going, ooh, nice elbows you have there.
Yeah.
I don't know, whatever turns people on.
Flame.
What?
Flame.
Oh, yeah.
The emoji.
Jesus Christ.
Kiss, flame.
What would
I know.
Okay.
Been there. No.
You have?
Okay, no, this is, I can't remember. I mean, I believe I have been in a relationship when I have had maybe some random comments, but I've never been in this situation where the girls,
when you're in a relationship, because
I know,
you become
right?
more attractive to other
funny.
people.
It's a funny thing, you
so-
women. But I think, look, firstly, there's probably no right or wrong. I think it's an agreement you have to come to between within the relationship between the partners. Like,
So what do you tell them? Let's give a distinctive, some
mean-
distinctive advice to this John.
I would firstly say, how does he respond if maybe that hasn't happened to his girlfriend? If it has, how has he responded to her?
Let's assume he doesn't care.
Yeah, and that's sometimes usually the case.
yeah.
Like one partner
Then it's
doesn't
like-
care about that
yeah.
stuff and the other one does. And this is where communication is so important. And you have to try and come to an agreement that you both are cool with in order for there to be peace.
Well, but what could an agreement be? There can't be an agreement because you can't. Okay, John, you can't go and tell you can't ignore your girls, your
I
people
think there's
just because they're female, obviously. So you can't
I think
say
that it's healthy to have other females in your life, and it's
Yeah.
healthy for the girl to have other males in her life. I don't think it's healthy personally to go meet up with them one-on-one,
no.
especially
Well, that's
at
different.
each other's houses,
Yep.
apartments or wherever.
Is this what you did?
No.
Well, that was
never,
random.
I've never met up one-on-one.
Especially don't get into their beds and.
Not when you're in a relationship. If I'm in a relationship, I'm not going to meet. I rarely meet one-on-one with a girl.
Okay.
If I have, maybe it's been at a cafe and she's a long-time friend. I don't think it's cool to
that's
do
a
it
bit
with
different.
an ex.
Okay, we're talking about
There's
girls
history,
at work,
especially sexual history.
Yeah, if they're flirting with you on Instagram, assume it's Instagram. My advice is I wouldn't delete the comments because that's going to cause more problems than anything.
Yep.
I would just go the honesty approach. So have a chat to your girlfriend. Say, look, obviously there's nothing going on. I can understand that you might be concerned, but
That's very important.
But just don't engage. Don't engage back. If you're then commenting kiss kiss or heart heart or whatever it is you crazy kids do these days, obviously you're not being completely honest, I don't think.
And it might give the wrong message to you.
Yeah.
Your girl might read that, or your guy might read that and get the wrong impression. Your friend, your work colleague might read that and maybe think there's a chance. And you just got to be very careful with the lines you cross these days. And they're so easy to cross. Then those comments can go to private messages, and now with stories, like if you put a story, like say he put a picture of himself up on his story, and then now he's getting private messages, a little bit more hidden. I think in order for a relationship to be healthy, I think there needs to be a level of trust where you don't have to go through each other's phones and tell each other what to do. Even if he is commenting back, if he comments back in a mature, non-flirty way, just thank you, or these days you could just like it, love it, and that's it, leave it at that.
And then what's she going to say? Oh, you put a little love heart on that comment? Oh, what do you got to do with old Stacey?
Then
you're in trouble, and
that's again
burn the
back
boats
to communication.
No, end the relationship.
You think that?
No, communicate.
Not good enough.
Communicate.
And again, it's how bad do you want to be with each other? Maybe if you love to flirt back and you want to flirt with a few girls because you like the attention and you love that game and you can say it's harmless, then you need to be with a girl that first you need to question that and do you really love being with this girl? If flirting with other work colleagues is more important to your girl's wishes, then you need to question if you really want to be with this girl. Don't waste your time or hers. Secondly, if she is more important, then maybe you should stop that. And also if the girl's not trusting, then they need to communicate about that too. Where's the trust, and why is it not so strong? But again, it's a tough one. It's a tricky one. And the main thing is if one person's got a standard, then it needs to be reciprocated, right? It's not cool if you don't want your girl talking to guys or commenting back to guys who are flirting with her, but you're going off and doing it to girls. I think everyone, the couples have to be in agreement. And again, that's why you have to communicate, have to come into an agreement on how you're going to deal with this situation and how you're going to act and behave on social media. I personally think the more you can just keep it low key, just like a message or just give a thank you or just keep it short and sweet. Don't kind of flirt back. I think that's healthier. If you both want to flirt, then as long as you're in agreement about that. But what was the question there? Just what our opinion on that is, right?
You were saying, should I delete the comments like that? I would say no.
No.
Or not respond at all. Probably not a bad idea.
It's not that important.
If it doesn't elicit a response, then just don't.
Yep.
And if people want to comment, let them comment. It's out of your control. Is my girl just being silly? Maybe, maybe not.
Look, and her trust issues maybe have nothing to do with the guy.
Yeah.
It's probably due to a lot of bad relationships she's had in the past. So again, sitting down with her and finding the root source of this fear and this concern she has, hearing her out, listening, that's probably all she really needs. And once they discuss it and she hears where he's really at and if he can keep proving to her and showing to her that he is trustworthy in his actions and his behaviors, then I'm sure the trust can build. But that's so important. I think communication is important because it helps build trust. And I think without a foundation of trust, love does not have the soil to fully blossom into true deep love. So communicate, everybody.
How deep? I think on that note, I'm gonna randomly press a button and hopefully it sounds good. No.
Oh!
All right.
But it's John Paul Pace and Roger Shaberis here, and we are Roger and Pace. Thank you for listening. Thank you. It's so sweet. Wow, thank you.
All right. That was good.
Alrighty.
Let's get out of here.
All right, guys. Again, if you're still watching and listening, thank you so much. I hope you've loved episode 2. Episode 3 is going to be action-packed like Tom Cruise films.
Not like Magnolia.
Yes.
Yeah.
All righty.
It's a bit deep.
Thanks, guys.
See you guys.
See you again next week.